Good morning, C.W. Henry School. This is Miss Davis coming to you virtually, bringing you another Black History Bite of the day. Today, on February the 23rd, we're going to dive deeper into the incredible world of jazz music and talk about somebody who was a pioneer in Black history and American history. Wondering who I'm talking about? Drum roll, please. Today, we're going to be focusing on the very own jazz musician, Louis Armstrong. Louis was born on August the 4th, 1901, over 100 years ago. He passed away on July 6, 1971. He was born in the city of New Orleans, Louisiana. Here's a picture of New Orleans on the map. He grew up in a poor part of the city that was nicknamed the Battleground. As a boy, life was tough for Louis. He lived with his grandmother or his uncle most of the time. As a kid, one of his favorite things to do was to watch local jazz musicians. He liked the horn, and he began to teach himself how to play an instrument called the cornet. Here's a picture of the cornet. It looks a lot like a horn or a trumpet. When Louis was around 12, he got in trouble for shooting a gun into the air on New Year's Eve. He was sent to live in a New Orleans home. Louis joined the band at the home and learned how to read music. So he turned what could have been a potentially terrible situation into something positive and life-changing for him. In his early teens, he was already a great horn player. He played in local jazz bands in New Orleans, where he met his mentor, a jazz musician named Joe Oliver. Joe took Louis under his wing and helped him along in the music world. Armstrong played in various bands in New Orleans, such as Kid Ory's band and the Tuxedo Brass Band. In 1922, when he was 21 years old, Armstrong moved to Chicago to join Joe Oliver's Creole Jazz Band. This was the start of an important period in time called the Roaring Twenties, and Chicago was becoming the home to jazz music. Armstrong began to make a name for himself as one of the best horn players around. He developed a unique style and played amazing solos that people loved to hear. A few years later, Armstrong moved to New York City, where he played in the Fletcher Henderson Orchestra. It was during that time that he switched from playing the cornet to playing the trumpet. In that picture on the top, you can see Louis sitting at a piano with one of his bands holding his trumpet. Eventually, Armstrong ended up moving back to Chicago. He started up his own band and made several recordings, because at this point in his life, he was a famous musician. He also began singing. He had a unique sounding gravelly voice that people loved. He spent the 1930s touring around the world, and he often worked as a featured soloist in a big band. In the 1940s, Armstrong formed a small jazz band called the All-Stars. Many famous jazz musicians played as members of this band. He toured with the All-Stars for the rest of his career. Let's watch a short clip of Louis Armstrong performing a song that I think many of you will know.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's one you all can sing with us when the Saints go marching in.
Louis Armstrong died on July 6, 1971, of a heart attack at the age of 69. Here's a picture of Louis playing his horn on the steps of one of his homes in New York. In this photograph, he's playing with local kids from the neighborhood. Louis Armstrong is remembered as one of the greatest musicians in American history. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1990.
Now, ladies and gentlemen,
That brings you to the end of today's Black History Bite of the day. If you're interested in learning more about Louis Armstrong, I'm going to link a couple more of his songs and his videos on YouTube. There's also a great Louis Armstrong video on Brain Pop that you can check out. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I look forward to bringing you another Black History Bite tomorrow.